Hello everybody, Drew here for Drew Games here on YouTube.com, coming at you with another episode of the Drew Games podcast, or the DDG podcast, if you will, episode number 27. On today's episode, joining me as always is my younger brother Desert Nord. Hey bro.
Hey there.
And today we're here to talk about our favorite E3 moments from over the years. Also, our memories of playing a Super Nintendo. Was it Super Nintendo? I believe it was, right?
Yeah, I would imagine so. That's about it.
From the Super Nintendo back in the day, playing Ken Griffey Jr. Major League Baseball with our dad and our family over the years, and our fun memories of that. Get out of here, you Nat. And also our favorite games from over the years from the categories of RPGs, shooters, sports, and platformers. Also, recent news, we'll be going over, like, Valve announced that they'll be releasing a Steam Deck, which is a mobile gaming platform comparable to a mobile version of a PC, which will have Steam fully integrated into it, and we'll get more into that. Also, we'll preview the EA Play event for July 22nd. At the time of the recording, this is 4:30 in the afternoon Central Time here on July 21st, the afternoon before. And also, Skull and Bones has an update on its development, and we'll get into that as well. So with that being said, E3 over the years. There's a lot of moments that stand out from that. From games being announced like the first BioShock game. Now, keeping in mind that these are just mine and Desert Nord's memories that we share together, and also that one of us might have seen and that the other hasn't. That's probably going to be mostly me, and that I witnessed and you didn't watch, more than likely. In those cases.
Well, you don't know.
Well, I'm willing to bet that I've watched more E3s than you.
Well, okay, that's fair, but that's because you probably don't up.
Well, yeah, and I've been doing this on YouTube for a while, but it is what it is. But in terms of our favorite E3 moments, what stands out as your most favorite moment from E3 since you've been watching it?
Well, usually console announcements rank pretty high for me. I think the announcement of the Xbox 360.
Which was hosted by, what's his name, who played Frodo from The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. That's not to say that...
I can't remember the actor's name, though.
I was going to say, that's not to say that more recent things like Keanu Reeves' appearance weren't high up.
But the announcement of the 360 would be your favorite, right?
Sure, yeah. The most, I think of it most positively.
I think in terms of watching it without you around, my favorite E3 moment would probably be, only because it's one of the most recent, like, epically interesting things, was Sony sticking it to Microsoft about the used games and not always having to be online to play games thing back in 2013 at their press conference. Is probably what sticks out to me the most.
Yeah.
Which, again, is also centered around the launch of a console, too. So.
Yeah, of course. And that's understandable.
But I think my personal favorite, and this is just me talking, this isn't Drew for Drew Games at this point, this is Andrew from Drew Games here now. My personal favorite was probably when Microsoft announced original Xbox reverse compatibility at E3.
Yeah.
Because that's not something that they had to do. In fact, from what I was hearing at the time, and I believe I said this alongside CD on the channel at the time, I don't think the video is still up, but I remember But I remember texting him as the announcement came. They did it. They fucking did it. Because my expectation of when they were going to be bringing original Xbox reverse compatibility to Xbox One was 2 or 3 years after that was when they were going to announce it, was my expectation. They just went ahead and just said it right then and there. And that they were bringing it by the end of that year, which was 2018, I think it was.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And yeah, and that was a big deal. Because, I mean, it's an important facet of not always needing to buy new systems to enjoy what you already love.
Yeah.
But if you do, you still can.
Yeah, and on the off chance that your old system breaks down, most of the games you can just play on the new thing. Now, if you wanted to play the ones that weren't available through the reverse compatibility thing, you probably would have to get a new old system then at that point, which is a really weird statement to say, a new old system.
Well, you know the one thing that has always bothered me.
Yeah, what's that?
Is that you have the older systems that are getting rarer and rarer.
Yeah.
Harder to get. Mm-hmm. Even though people still to this day love all those systems.
Yeah.
You know, people would gladly put in a copy of an old game and play it just like anything else.
Yeah, quite.
And it's hard to find in some cases.
Yeah. Case in point, like PS5 and Xbox Series consoles right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, those aren't old, though.
Yeah, but they technically, for a large majority of the population of planet Earth, haven't come out yet effectively. Yeah, I know.
I mean, I'm talking about where they stop manufacturing the old system and they move on to the next one.
Yeah, which is another bone that I have to pick. Going into the launch of the Series X and S, Microsoft announced and apparently stopped manufacturing or support, really, of the Xbox One X. Which is really fucking stupid, because if anything, you would abandon the Xbox One S, right?
You'd think.
But that's not what they did, going into next gen. They stopped manufacturing their best version of the previous console.
Yep.
Which I still don't understand.
I understand there's some logistics issues with trying to keep on stock and in rotation old systems. I get that.
Yeah.
But there's so many millions of people who would be happy to constantly be buying the hardware from yesteryear.
Yeah.
I mean, there are grown people who didn't play games since they were young who would love to go back to it.
Speaking of going back to things, I'm going to make a quick announcement for future content on this channel, which is going to lead to content on the entertainment channel as well. Yesterday, CD asked me if I would be willing to play games for he and I to talk about on the C&D show. So how apparently this is going to work, and this is at his request. I'm going to play a certain game on this channel, be it if it's on the PS4 live on this channel, if it's from the Xbox live on Twitch and port it over here. And then he's going to watch it, and then on the entertainment channel, like the next day, after he's watched it, we're going to put up an episode of that podcast of he and I talking about what happened in the game.
Yeah.
Now keep in mind that this is his idea. So if it turns out you guys don't care for it, blame him, not me. Just saying, this is one of those socialist ideas that I think is gonna fail. But it is what it is. But with that announcement out of the way, anything else about now? There is one E3 moment that I do want to talk about that I do think very fond of to this day because of the game, the trailer, and the music attached to it. And it was you and I witnessing the announcement of it at the time at E3 together, and that was Fallout 3.
Yeah.
Arguably one of our favorite games of all time, right?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, for me, New Vegas came along and kind of almost blew 3 out of the water.
Yeah, but keep in mind that we can say what we want about the games, but I don't recall Fallout New Vegas being announced at E3 though.
No, you're right. It wasn't, but
yeah,
I'm just saying, as far as which one would be my favorite in the series, it's kind of leaned toward New Vegas at this point.
Agreed, but still, this is about E3 moments, which Fallout New Vegas is not in that discussion because it was never announced there. So,
yeah.
What was going through your mind when E3, when E3, when, when E3 was announced at E3? Yeah, right. When Fallout 3 was announced at E3 is what I meant.
Well, at the time, I was not as familiar with the series.
Neither was I.
But I will remember one specific detail about it that I never forgot.
Yeah.
And that was that trailer.
Yeah. And especially was the moment of the music playing when they were shooting teddy bears at people.
Well, sure, but that trailer for that game, I personally think that was a watershed moment in gaming.
Yeah, I agree. And
that moment where they played that trailer was breathtaking.
Yeah, it was a watershed moment, but now look where we ended up, complaining about gambling in games.
Well, sure, but as far as great achievements in art,
yeah, that was definitely up there at the
definitely
near the top of it, if not at the top.
The trailer was different than the game, of course. The game is never as good as the trailer.
Obviously,
that's just a rule these days.
Well, any day, but yeah.
Yeah, for a long time it's been that way.
Yeah.
We expect trailers to be better than the game.
Yeah, so.
But the trailer was mind-blowing.
Mm-hmm.
If you came away from first seeing that trailer and you weren't at least interested in this game, I question your sanity.
Yeah. You and I were highly interested in it when we saw it. I can't say the same for BioShock 1 at the time, because if I remember correctly, our reaction was, we don't know what this is, but we're 90% sure we're not interested. Right?
Yeah.
But as it turns out, we were wrong. BioShock is one of the better game series out there.
Oh, well, the thing about BioShock is that it became secondarily political. Like, initially when it came out, people were like, oh, yeah, yarn, big deal.
Yeah.
But then they kept it going, and then it became, like, automatic nostalgia for a lot of people.
Well, in the case of the first game... And then, of course,
later on, they kind of ruined the series.
But in the case of the first game, it actually had really good writing.
No, I know, and that's what makes it the greatest game of the series, pretty much.
Yeah. But still, the fact that our reaction to the announcement of the first game was what it was, I can safely say that we were wrong.
Oh yeah, I didn't think much of it.
And then we played it. Well, I played through it and then went, yeah, the writing is some of the best that I've seen. But then again, I was playing through it properly trying to play through it, I should say, at the start of the Disney sequel trilogy.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty rare that
there's that.
A game that's actually written clever.
Yeah.
And that was one of them.
So, would we kindly be interested in moving to the next topic?
Sure.
To borrow that line from Bioshock. Would you kindly?
Mm-hmm.
So the Super Nintendo had a baseball game that came with it for us when we were in grade school called King Griffey Jr. Major League Baseball. This was probably the one game as kids that we spent the most time playing, I think, right?
Oh yeah, between 1995 and 1999 for sure.
Yeah. Because whenever our dad would have coworkers over, we would play it. Whenever our uncle came to visit from Illinois, we'd play it. Or basically, if we were living in Illinois at the time, our uncle would come over, we'd play it. We played after school with our dad. Yeah, we'd have so much fun. And this was, I think, one of the first games where we could rename the players as ourselves.
Yep.
So that was probably when creating ourselves in games kind of started, I think. Was with this one.
Yeah, the hilarity that ensued with the playing of that game was unexpected and very welcome.
Yeah, and then eventually we started creating former presidents and shit like that too.
Oh, sure, yeah, you could rename the whole team if you felt like it.
In the entire league, yeah.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of the best memories that I've had were playing that game with Dad. So.
Oh yeah, well, and the mechanics of the game were very, very good. It was top notch for the time.
They were very simple too, but they.
No, I know, rudimentary, but especially compared to anything today. But at the time, baseball had not been fleshed out as well as that by any game up to that point.
Yeah. And then there was the time where I told you about the X-Men and the door at Wrigley Field too.
Oh yeah, well, childhood abuse.
Yeah. older brother having fun with his younger brother.
But at the same time, the mechanics I did find out that were actually making you angry were the mechanics of jumping to catch a ball.
Yeah.
Which you don't always do in the game, but you can try. And it's actually really exciting if you can pull it off.
Yeah.
And it was, again, one of those games where they fully fleshed out the mechanics of baseball. Because in other games, you were just dots running around the field.
As best they could with the hardware that they were using. And it was also on cartridges.
Yeah, of course.
But the
point I would make, though, is that game was the first game where I think you could probably actually have fun playing baseball on a digital game.
Yeah.
Or on a digital screen.
That was kind of where our love for sports games kind of started, and it kind of ended in the last 10 years or so.
Yeah, well, I mean, there have been some good ones, but it's really gotten hard to find.
Yeah.
Almost as sparse as they originally were.
The only decent one is MLB The Show anymore, which is also.
It was only in that early 2000s to late 2000s period, maybe 02 to 08.
Yeah.
Or 09, where you had a lot of great sports games.
Yeah, that was the end of the years.
It was sparse to begin with, and it's been sparse now.
Yeah, which means that there's only one real sports game to play in, and that's MLB The Show at this point. Which, coincidentally, I think it was on 16. I might be wrong. It might have been 17 for all I know, but one in the last 4 years or so had King Griffey Jr. on the cover.
Yeah.
And then that sparked memories of playing this game when I saw that, so obviously I was going to buy it, which I had done.
Yep.
And then wound up lending it to a friend, and I haven't seen it since.
It always happens.
Yeah. That's also happened
The
with
one,
a copy of a movie that I had at one point and haven't seen that either.
yeah, well, your friend needs to be slapped. But,
Well, in the case of the movie, it was the movie World Trade Center, I believe, and it was to Justin and his
yeah, okay.
and his future wife. In the
Well,
case,
we can slap Justin.
well, you can if you see him. I'm gonna ignore him. But in the case of MLB The Show with King Griffey Jr. on the cover, it was to our sister's now ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
Joey.
Yeah. What I was gonna say
But it is what it is.
Later on, though, from that game, you had the Slugfest series, which we enjoyed a lot, also.
Yeah, that was also good. But speaking of favorite games from categories, that's the next category. So
okay.
yeah, so we might as well just continue with the sports thing then. So your favorite sports game?
Well, if I have to go by category,
Yeah.
as in sport within sports.
Yeah.
Favorite baseball game of all time is probably the 2K. I believe it was 8.
Okay. I think that had Tim Lincecum come on the cover, right?
Or was it? No, it was the one with the one I played the Mets all the time.
That would be MLB The Show 06 or 7. One of the first two.
Yeah, it was one of those games. I see there were so many in that period that I lost track of which one it was, but
okay. So
that one would have been my favorite baseball.
So I think if it was 7, it would have had the third baseman for the Mets on it then.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's the one.
Okay. That would have been David Wright, I think is his name.
Yeah, there was 2 guys. There was David Wright and there was another guy. What was his name? It'll come to me. It doesn't matter. But anyway, yeah, that was the game.
Okay. For me, my favorite sports game probably would be MLB The Show 20. Yeah. So the one before the most recent one. Only because I loved the changes that they had made to it from 19 to 20. Then they took a couple steps back with other changes from 20 to 21.
Yep.
And kind of walked some of that RPG stuff back from the player career, which I didn't care for, like putting that stuff in just to take it out like a year later. And a case in point now, as I discover, your player career that doesn't carry over from 20 to 21. You can't import it like in previous years. So that's also another downgrade to why I don't really like 21 as much as as far as an addition to the show series goes. By itself, it's good. I don't mind it, but as a part of the MLB The Show series, I don't care for it. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So, for me, yeah.
Well, I was going to say, so there's 2 other categories I will mention within sports.
Yeah.
And one of them is football. And that winner is head coach 09.
So in picking one sports game that is your favorite above any other, it would be head coach 09
well,
then?
Let's see. No. That may be the one I spent the most time on. But as far as the best sports game I ever played,
your favorite?
It's got to be
not necessarily the best.
Street V2.
Okay. But keep in mind
and V3 wasn't far behind. I think I had more fun on V3, but V2 was a better game.
But keeping in mind that this is our favorites, not necessarily the best, so they could be completely average. But if you really like them a lot, then that's your business.
Well, I guess it has to be a Metro 09 then, because I really had a lot of good times on that game.
Yeah. And like I said, for me, it's MLB The Show 20. Followed probably like in the top 3 would be Head Coach 09.
Yeah.
So as far as your favorite shooters go, this is probably going to be harder for you, right?
Well, no, it wouldn't be harder for me.
Because you've played a lot of Call of
Duty. Yeah, well, you know the ironic part, bro, is that Call of Duty wouldn't probably actually even be my favorite.
Okay. So
I mean, they're good, but
so what is your favorite shooter then?
Well,
now I just wrote down shooter, so that could be third person, second person, first person shooter, just whatever,
yeah,
just a shooter.
Many to pick from.
Yeah.
Up to and including games like Red Dead Redemption.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's also there's Gears of War, which is probably my favorite, just from so much experience, especially Gears of War 2.
I will say that my favorite shooter game, and I'm putting this in the shooter category because it's a shooter, but it's also an RPG as well, because I got something else in mind for the RPG category for me. So for me,
it kind of crosses into each other.
Yeah, so for me, my favorite shooter is Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah, I know, and that would be high up for me also.
Yeah.
It definitely spent a lot of time on it.
Mm-hmm. So for you, your favorite shooter?
Well, my favorite shooter has got to be Gears of War 2.
All right.
I had too much fun playing that one.
Well, yeah, well, we both did, so.
Yeah. Well, me and you together had the most fun playing Medal of Honor European Assault.
Yeah, so collectively, our favorite to play together was that from the original Xbox.
Yeah.
But as far as our favorite I'll save the RPGs for last. Our favorite platformers, obviously for me, and if you guys know me at all, which not a lot of you watching this on YouTube will at this point, but my favorite platformer of all time, hands down, is Super Mario World 3.
Yeah.
Which I believe was originally for the Super Nintendo.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. That would be correct.
And for you, your favorite platformer?
Now, when you say platformer, you mean
in the style of like, well, platformers have taken such a weird turn lately too. So I guess modern day ones you would consider, right? Like the not the well, I guess the most recent Ratchet and Clank, but it's hard to tell because no one can play it because it's only on PS5.
I see. Okay,
yeah,
well,
type of thing. But your classic platformers would be like Super Mario, Sonic the Hedgehog. I would consider to be a platformer from the Sega Genesis and so on.
Yeah. So what you mean when you say platformer? It's a game where you start at one point of the map, I guess you could say, and you end up at another, like a level stage type thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
because
Sonic is high up on that list.
Because other good examples of that, let's see, modern examples of that would be things like Dead Cells.
Yeah.
And many other games. Let me look at the full library here. Brothers, I think, would be considered one. The Castlevania series, definitely.
Yeah.
Cuphead is definitely one of them.
Oh God, that was rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Spyro trilogy, let's see.
As
Yeah.
well as the Ori series, as well as Limbo and Little Nightmares. But you guys get the idea. Because there's a lot of
Donkey
smart
Kong
hamsters out there.
Country.
So the first Donkey Kong Country would be your favorite one.
Ooh, that's a good one, man.
Yeah, yeah, it is. So was Donkey
That has
Kong
to be high
Country
up for
2 as
me.
well.
Although Little Big Planet wasn't bad at all. Pretty good.
Yeah. The, well, technically there's 4 of them.
And then everybody loves Psychonauts, I guess.
We'll see what the second one is like.
Uh-huh.
Would you consider Portal to be a platformer?
It kind of should be. But I don't know. I would think based on the definition that it would be.
And then there's Unravel. And then soon to be when it comes out, Tunic. But I don't know if you consider Tunic a platformer though.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably not.
So with all that in mind, what is your favorite platformer then?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to remind myself. I've definitely played a lot of
Yeah,
platformer games.
yeah.
There's a couple that stand out. Back in the day, in the Sega days, there was the Lion King game. That wasn't half bad.
Yeah, if you're still 10.
No, I know, bro. But uh, in recent years, I haven't played platformer games.
So based on what going up to the last one that you played, what would
It has
be
to be. It has to be either Donkey Kong Country or Sonic. It has to be one of the two that would be my favorite for sure. Because I haven't played any of the platformer games lately.
and if I know you, you're probably gonna go with Donkey Kong Country because I think you probably played that one the most.
Yeah,
So that's probably gonna be yours is Donkey Kong Country.
yeah. Between the two, yeah, It was definitely the one that I should say.
So with that being said, there's only one category left before we get to the news, and that's our favorite RPGs.
Well, you forgot racing games.
We'll get to that after RPGs then.
All right. Well,
Because that's a pretty cut and dry. If you guys know me that are watching, if any of you do, then you'll know what my favorite racing series is at this point, because I've mentioned it on the gaming podcast before. Amongst the many incarnations of the gaming podcast, I've also mentioned it recently because a new version of it is coming out later this year. But in terms of our favorite RPGs, there's no contest. It's the Elder Scrolls.
well, um, there is some competition.
Well, well, for me, there's no competition. It's the Elder Scrolls series. It's Morrowind, it's Oblivion, it's Skyrim, and yes, even Elder Scrolls Online too.
Yeah. Well, um, you've got Fallout. You've got
Yeah,
Mass Effect.
yeah, but there's nothing like just roaming an open world, developing your character as you see fit, like you can in the Elder Scrolls series, though.
And there is Knights of the Old Republic, bro.
Yeah, but I'm still going with the Elder Scrolls as my favorite, though.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I probably would too. But there's definitely some close seconds.
Yeah, there's about 3 or 4 that are tied for second, but the choice is obvious for who is #1, and that's the Elder Scrolls series for me.
Yeah. Well, I can't disagree with that. I played that series more than anything else for sure.
Yeah, so it sounds like you're
if you combine my hours with Skyrim and ESO together, it far outweighs like probably every other game combined.
Yeah, it's a lot closer to how long it takes a star to die.
Well, I haven't lived that long, so it can't be that long.
That's a joke.
I know, I'm just saying.
In other words, it's been a long time.
It's been a stupid amount of hours.
So you wanted to finish with racing. We'll get into racing. I might as well just say mine now so we can let you do your little speech on what you consider to be a good racing game before you say ours. Mine is the Forza Horizon series, specifically at this point, because it's the one that's out, Forza Horizon 4 is my favorite racing game.
Well, so the keys to a good racing game are the way the vehicles control, the layout of the game itself, whether it's kind of an open world game, which have been very rare in the racing world.
Yeah.
The racing realm, we'll say, and customization. And then there's a third part, or there's a fourth part called storyline. And for me, despite having played at least a dozen good racing games, nothing probably beats Need for Speed Most Wanted. Yeah. It's just good in every single facet of what a racing game should be.
That's what I figured you were going to say.
Yeah, no, I cannot over recommend that game. It's the greatest racing game. Maybe it's not the sexiest. Maybe it's not the most advanced. Maybe it's not the most high-end graphics or whatever. But everything together, it's a beautiful game.
Yeah. So, in speaking of everyone playing checkers, well, you are playing, what's a good analogy to go against checkers here? While everyone is playing checkers, you are playing actual war here. No, no, that doesn't really work. While you're playing checkers, this company I guess
playing a game of interstellar calculus or something.
I guess that would work based on how this thing is supposed to function. Valve recently announced the Steam Deck, so it is a handheld version of well, it looks like a Switch, but it plays the games that you have on Steam. And Steam is fully integrated into the thing, to the point where you can actually mod the games on the thing from off Steam.
Yep.
And and according to the advertisement or to the announcement for it, it works like a portable PC. Its release window at the earliest is supposedly December of this year to probably early next year. And and I actually have an article up on screen in front of me right now with actual information. So there are 3 versions of this thing. There's a $399 version, which is the baseline model, kind of like the Xbox One, Xbox One S, and Xbox One S thing. So the $399 model comes with a 64 gigabyte eMMC storage and carrying case. The $529 version of the Steam Deck, an upgraded model with 256 gigabytes of faster NVMe SSD storage, that's solid state drive storage, similar hard drive to what's in your computers now, the same carrying case, and an exclusive Steam profile bundle. Now, the high-end version, $649, a top-tier model with 512 gigabytes high-speed NVMe SSD storage, special anti-glare glass on the display, an exclusive virtual keyboard theme, a custom carrying case, and an aforementioned Steam profile bundle. So as far as I'm concerned, if you got the money for any one of those three, you're better off getting the high-end version for your money because you get a lot out of it. And secondly, 64 gigabytes, you're going to fill that shit up so fast on Steam, it's not even funny.
Yeah, that's not a lot.
Yeah. 64 gigabytes is as far as I'm aware, it's either what the current Switch has or what the new one is going to have. I'm not sure. But that's the equivalent there for the hard drive space.
Yeah, or
that's not much.
With what the Xbox 360 could handle.
Yeah. Despite the fact that this thing, even the base model, is going to be able to play things like Cyberpunk on it, though.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah. So if anything,
that's all we'll be able to play.
So if anything, and this is just my opinion, guys, you're better off ignoring the $400 version, and at the bare minimum, if you're looking to get one, get the $530 version one, which actually has a solid state drive in it.
Yeah.
But albeit, if I'm gonna try to get one, I personally would be trying to save money to get the $650 one. But that's just my personal opinion. But then again, I already have a laptop that can play games anyway, so for me at this time, it's just not worth it.
Storage space isn't a problem until it really is a problem.
Yeah. Now, granted, the Steam Deck is gonna have a memory stick slot to which you can take out the 512 gigabyte thing and replace it with a bigger one when they're available. So that's a plus for it. Something that the PS5 can't do easily.
Uh-huh.
Take out the memory storage thing and then quickly pop in a new one. With the PS5, you have to take the damn thing apart. As opposed to the Xbox Series X, you just plug it into the back of the system. Kind of like with the GameCube.
Yep.
When it came to additional shit for that. Or no, sorry. It wasn't the GameCube. It was the Nintendo Wii. I'm thinking about when it came to plugging in your memory hard drive stuff for the Wii. It just popped right out of the back.
Yep.
So your thoughts on the Steam Deck?
Well, it definitely seems like they are going in the right direction design-wise.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's an advancement.
On what I don't know.
Perfect,
on what I'm not sure.
I mean, I would assume that they've done something new with it.
Well,
I mean, as in something no one else is doing. Because if they're just copycatting everybody else, they're going to get in trouble for it.
The last thing that I know of that Steam or that Valve tried to do was a home console that didn't really pan out connected to Steam.
Uh-huh.
But we'll see how this goes.
Sure. And
this might gain more interest because it's mobile.
You remember Stadia fell flat on its face, right?
Yeah. Wait.
I mean, that was what they were trying to do.
What's a Stadia?
Stadia. You remember Stadia, right?
I know, I'm joking.
I'm just saying.
Joke just went right over Nord's head.
No, it didn't. I know you were I figured you were being serious, but you said you were joking, and I laughed. But yes, home consoles connected to massive libraries have had a bad history.
Yeah, but also keep in mind that this is largely a mobile device, so.
Yeah, I know. That's probably why it's going to be even harder to work right.
Well, we'll see what happens.
But I would assume that is still, for
yeah.
what it's worth, an advancement.
Well, as usual, I'm going to have a neutral approach on it and see how things go. Does that mean that I'm going to get one? I'm leaning towards nay on it. But just because I can play games on my laptop from Steam. So that's only the reason why I'm saying nay. If it weren't for that, I would probably consider it. If I was still using my old laptop still. If that hadn't died. But with that being said, anything else to add before we preview EA Play for tomorrow?
I don't think so. I think we've kind of gone over a lot. So
with that being said, here's an article talking about it. So, EA Play Live 2021 confirmed a previous event of the main show starting at 1900 hours. What is it? Why is it in fucking military time?
yeah, oh well.
So 1900 CEST. I don't know what that translates to.
Well, it'd be 7 p.m., bro.
So 7 p.m. Central Time?
Yeah, Central Standard Time.
Okay. On July 22nd, so tomorrow evening. So give or take 26 hours from now. Let's see. Part of Electronic Arts presentation will take place. The company confirms that this year's host will be Austin Watson, who you may well know as his WWE name, Xavier Woods. So, a member of the New Day is going to be hosting it from WWE. The conference of the American publisher will take place a month after the celebration of E3, well no shit, where they attended together with Battlefield 2042 in the space of Xbox and Bethesda Game Showcase. Yeah. However, it will be in their own light when they show preview for their portfolio of projects for the remainder of the year and beyond. Well, let's hope so. So I'm not going to read all of this. I'm just going to see what comes up here for games. So we got Battlefield 2042. That's to be expected. Let's see what else is mentioned in here. Following they spelled officially wrong as fuck. Of Madden NFL 22, we can expect a wave of sports deliveries led by FIFA 2022 as well. So yeah, it sounds like what we should be expecting are just Battlefield and sports here. But EA still has access to Star Wars, so with that being said, what do we actually expect to happen outside of Battlefield, FIFA, and Madden, and as well as the PGA Tour game? Fuck. So, with that being said, the fact that the controller turned off.
Yeah.
As I was saying, I don't know where you heard me at, but outside of Madden, PGA Tour, FIFA, and Battlefield, what are we expecting out of this tomorrow?
Well, not a lot in my book.
They are supposed to have a Star Wars game in the works still, supposedly, as far as I'm aware. So They have to show that off at some point, and then there's still the rumor of a supposed sequel to Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah, well.
So with that all said, there,
it's not even just a preference to prefer low expectations on this one.
Yeah,
I've got low expectations on this one because I'm pretty sure it's going to be disappointing.
Yeah, I'm not expecting much, but it is what it is, though, too. I'm still going to watch it. I'm still going to write down anything that means anything. And if there is anything to talk about, we'll talk about it next Wednesday.
Uh-huh.
With that all being said, what am I expecting? Exactly what I said earlier, what I read from the article, that being Battlefield, FIFA's gambling simulator, Madden's gambling simulator, and hopefully some mention of Star Wars, because it's EA. They're still supposed to have access to that, even though it's not exclusive access anymore, which means that I wouldn't write off them trying to shove down our throats another Battlefront.
Uh-huh.
But if that's the case, we'll see what happens. Speaking of your game being in development hell, Skull and Bones was announced at E3 back in 2017 by Ubisoft, and has since lavished in development hell since apparently pre-production began, according to reports, way back in 2013. Back when Xbox 360 and PS3 were still the current generation that were out on the market. So this game was initially intended to be designed for Xbox One and PS4. That since has not happened.
Yep.
And it's now supposedly due out in March of 2023. So still well more than a year and a half away.
Yep.
And from according to reports, according to Yang Ya and others, this thing has been rebooted as many times as Mass Effect Andromeda, and as many times, if not more, than Anthem, both from BioWare.
Uh-huh.
So with that said, Nord, any comments?
No, I don't have anything to put in on that one.
Because from my understanding of the reports, initially Skull and Bones was initially supposed to be like a multiplayer add-on to Black Flag from Assassin's Creed. Then they scrapped that and we're going to make it its own game, like a Black Flag standalone MMO game. Then they scrapped that to turn it into Skull and Bones as an MMO. And then I guess had scrapped that to I don't know anymore.
They can't seem to get anything done.
Yeah, and according to reports, it was intended that maybe it would be a single player, like survival pirate game, kind of like Rust in a way, just with some pirate mechanics at one point.
It's so pathetic.
Yeah, so who the fuck knows what this is actually going to be at launch? I currently have no faith in it anymore, based on the reports. So this is a write-off thing to not touch unless the reviews say that this has actually turned out alright, which, like I said before, I've been burnt by Anthem, Andromeda before, so I'm not going to waste my time with any of this when it comes to actually buying and playing it. Now, if it's on Game Pass, that's a whole nother story. If it's not on Game Pass, I'm not wasting my money. I don't care how much it is.
Yep.
Oh, with that being said, what are you going to be playing after this? Probably ESO.
Yeah. I'm reaching the 1/3 mark, if you can believe it.
I don't.
It takes a long time.
For me, probably gonna watch news and probably fidget with Madden for a little bit, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that being Madden 20, because fuck 21, it's a broken piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
And with Madden 22 coming, you know they ain't gonna fix jack shit for 21.
Yeah.
And considering that that's supposed to be coming out in theory like in a month from now, in the case of Madden 22. So. But with that being said, thank you for checking out this episode of the Drew Dat Games podcast here on YouTube.com. We will see you guys hopefully Monday for Breaking Rocks, because it seems like I'm going to be having stuff to talk about again soon.
Yep.
But we'll get more into that off camera. So, but with that being said, everybody, stay tuned for first of all Breaking Rocks Monday, hopefully. Beyond that, I will be playing actually on Saturday after work in preparation for the DNC show on Sunday. A little game you might know about called The Outer Worlds. I'm going to be playing some of that live on Twitch and porting that over to this channel for you guys to check out. So I'm going to start playing that on stream for you guys. Anything to add to that?
No, I don't have anything to add to that, bro.
All right. I will see you guys, on Saturday live on Twitch, and then you can check it out on YouTube by the end of the day on Saturday of me playing The Outer Worlds. So check that out come Saturday, that being this Saturday, and I will see you guys in that video or that stream if you join me over on Twitch. See you then.
Bye, guys.